Wow.
Yeah, I have a lot of schoolwork, so it's difficult doing schoolwork when I'm short. Okay, tu pantalla se fue.
Yeah, I know. I took it off.
Okay.
By mistake.
It's part of everyone learning. But are you okay? Like, is your family okay with health and life?
Yeah, I'm okay. It's just, I don't know. Today, I was having a day today, like, you know.
I understand. That was
I mean,
yesterday.
you can see my muñequito.
Café con Joe's resume interviews. Jorge E. Rivera started the meeting. It says. I think someone is actually logged in.
Oh, it's in Teams.
Yeah, and like Valencia now started the meeting.
No.
So let me message there.
Yeah. Can you pop in and let them know that not cool?
Hi everyone.
I thought I took it off too.
No,
I guess I
our
didn't.
meeting is on Zoom. In the poster, you can see the credentials.
Yeah, espérate. Jorge Rivera. It's very.
Hey guys, can you hear us?
Hey. Can you hear us?
Yes, hello.
Hello. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen. We made a few tweaks, minor things, but we can follow your slides. That's also fine.
Okay, no, I can just give you, hold on. Hold on. Where are you? Here you are. All right, I just made you the co-host so you can share your screen.
Okay, let me see it here.
It should be at the bottom. It should be like a little green screen that says.
Share screen. Just give me 1 second.
Gabi, are you getting the notifications about Afra and can you hang out? You're on mute, Gabi, but can you hang out in the other side and just let them know that it's not?
Yeah, I put the message, so I think every time they pop in and they see it, they just disconnect quickly. So they're coming. They're coming over.
Okay.
Anna,
I thought I deleted the Microsoft link.
Look, we're all learning.
Qué mujer.
Verifica que no tenga eso me pasó ayer con adelante. I had like a reserve room or something, and then not everyone could log in. So maybe they're waiting for you to let them in.
Oh, in the waiting room? Yeah, I know. I see them.
Okay, that's good.
I los veo. Espérate.
Guys.
Hi.
Hey, Jorge.
How you guys
Hello.
doing? Hello, Nathan.
Can you guys hear us well?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Awesome. Let's wait maybe a little bit, right? There's a lot of people coming, which is very nice. Hello. So you guys can see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
¿Qué hora es?
Yes.
Casi las
29. We're still on time. I'm just waiting. Okay.
So where is everybody? I mean, probably in your homes, but where is home?
I think Gabrielita is the farthest away. She's in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I'm in Puerto Rico.
Nice.
Wow. How's things there?
It's a lot of pressure because we have to deal with the pandemic plus corruption. So it's been the constant back and forth with the government and all that. But for now, it's controlled, thank God.
Yeah.
So we don't have a lot of cases. I think we just reached 300 something and 11 deaths today.
So
it's more controlled than other islands in the Caribbean. I know Dominican Republic right now is being
getting hit hard, really?
Yeah. They have over 1,000 cases, and those are the people that are getting tested.
Oh, wow. That's terrible. Sad.
I think Jersey crossed like 20, 30,000 cases already. I think.
I know, and most of them are in the North Jersey.
Yeah, I know. I know I'm here.
Sad. And I know that there were some students waiting in the other side, you know, on the other side.
Yeah, Gabriela's checking on them.
Okay, all right, that's cool.
Yesterday we waited until about 4:03, 4:04 to start.
It's fine.
Sounds good. We have 9 people, but I only see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Maybe they don't have the cameras on, or
Could be.
right?
Maybe they don't have the cameras on.
Yeah, it depends whoever's speaking like gets to the top.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Before I join.
We can
Right, Anna,
probably
we
do.
Yeah,
What happened?
Okay, sounds good.
Yes, so we'll probably go ahead and get started. So welcome everybody. I'm Anna. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the director of the Latino Institute. And this is our second Café con Jos. So we had one yesterday, same time at 4 o'clock. And today we're going to be talking about resume, interviews, and networking tips. So here on the call or on camera, we have Nathan and Alethea. And I'm going to hand the mic over to them because they're our experts today.
Thank you so much. We appreciate very much the invitation, and we're very excited to see you all. And for us, it's a great pleasure. So we will go through a few interesting topics, but we also want to let you ask questions as we go. Feel free to interrupt and ask away. We want to make sure this is of value for you guys. All right, so just maybe very quickly intro. As Anna said, I'm Nathan. I'm currently working in BMW of North America. I've been in HR for over 10 years, little over than 10 years. I've worked in recruiting quite extensively. I'm Brazilian. I started in Brazil back in GE 2009, and obviously I'm here in the US. I migrated in 2014, and I had the pleasure to work with people all over Latin America and now mainly in the US. And when we talk more about recruiting, I've hired for many different positions like leadership roles, sales, marketing, finance, so all kind of like business positions, but also some technical roles.
Hi guys, my name is Alethea. I'm also from Brazil and married with this cool guy here. So I've been working at Amazon for almost 4 years now, and I've been recruiting for Latin America and also the US. So pretty much I cover leadership roles, sales, marketing, and any tech roles for Amazon Web Services, which is our cloud computing business. So thank you so much for the invite. We are very happy to be here.
Cool. All right. So we, when we were invited to do this, we we're trying to kind of put our heads together and see, okay, what are some key tips that we can give you guys, knowing that this may vary, of course, by recruiter, but based on our experience, these are things that we know that the majority of recruiters value, and you guys as candidates can definitely work on and make sure that you're hitting those things. So just know that there is no magic formula, as we say here in this slide, but obviously there are some things that can help. So first thing here, your resume is your brand, right? So your resume is going to be your door to a company or a position that you're applying for. So it's very, very important. It may be the only opportunity you have to get a link between yourself and your professional experience and your education to somebody on the other line. As I mentioned, there is no magic formula. There are, of course, tips and good practices that may put you ahead, and we're going to cover some of those. The other point, attention to detail. Make sure that there is no misspelling. There is nothing there that shouldn't be on your resume. You'll be surprised sometimes what we've seen in resumes. I have a very funny one that once I saw. Somebody pasted accidentally like a cake recipe in the second page of the resume. It is true, and you don't want that. You don't want that. Less sometimes is more. I think that we as candidates, and I say we because I'm also a candidate at some point in my life, we try to make sure we want to put everything in the resume, right? And okay, it's great that you're covering everything, but you have to be very careful not to be
concise.
Too much.
That's the key thing here. So sometimes if we see like resumes with like a 3-4 pages, that is not ideal. Again, there is no right or wrong, but ideally try to summarize your experience, maybe 1 or 2 pages. That's something that catches the recruiter's attention. And also around keywords. So sometimes you're going to need to have more than 1 resume. So if you are really into find a job and if you are very interested in a particular position, do your homework. Go through the job description. See what are the qualifications that you have. What are your strengths against to the job description. So try to tailor your resume for the ideal position that you are looking for. And one thing that is very important is around the format. I know it sounds very basic, but I always try to have in Word or PDF, and do not consider any other extension, because right now most of the company, like large companies, we do work with ATSs, which are systems. So whenever we are trying to find a resume, we work with Boolean search, keywords. And the system always recognize Word or PDF rather than GPNG or any other extension. So this is something to always keep in mind, and will help you to have your resume on the top.
We have in the next few slides, we're gonna take a resume and we're gonna go through each section of that resume, where we're gonna give some tips on each of those parts there. We have in here what have you achieved. Resume is important also to share accomplishments, results, KPIs, and things like that. It's not only about what you've done in a certain role. That actually, it's very, very key for us recruiters when we're looking at 10, 20, 50, hundreds of resumes. It really catches our eyes when you start looking at numbers and things that reads as an achievement and as results, and that really helps. But yeah, and of course the last one goes without saying, never lie on the resume. This is for sure, it's a very basic rule. I don't think we need to remember you guys, but it's something basic. Sometimes we may want to bend the rules a little bit. You may put there that you are expert in SAP when you have maybe some basic skills in SAP. You have to be careful, because if you go to an interview and
they can test, they can check it out, like a language skill, for example. We had a candidate who said he was fluent in Mandarin, but he was not, and the interviewer knew Mandarin. So it was not a good experience at all.
All right. Any questions before we move on, guys? Okay. All right. So we got a resume here. As I mentioned, we're gonna go through it. There are, of course, all different kinds of templates out there, but this is a template that we like, the structure, the order, and it's something that we see that really help the recruiter.
Yeah.
We're gonna go through each of them now.
So this is, I think, the first thing, and on the top of the resume, you should have all your contact information. So it's very important. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, try to do one. I think that's very key. It's also a way that you can keep connected in regards of industry trends and connect with people. And it's a great place to be. In regards of contact info, so make sure that your name is with clear and bold letters. If you do have a long name like my husband, his name is Nathan Daniel Magrini Alves, try to kind of make it clear. So for example, in his resume, when he was looking for jobs, we just put Nathan Alves. So this makes easier to be reminded. And also your email address. I think it's very important to be professional. I know sometimes we may have an email address from the days that we're playing video games or anything like that. So like Aletea_unicorn, but I try to avoid those kind of things. You want a professional email address that people will remember. So that's very, very helpful.
Yeah, and sometimes we get messages from candidates following up on a certain position, and if the email comes in a certain way, I don't know, Warcraft 1999. I mean, you may feel that's spam, or it may get actually pushed directly to a spam folder, and the recruiter may miss that. Now we know that depending on where you're applying, and and we know there's a lot of frustration around never hearing back, and we also don't appreciate when recruiters don't give any feedback or don't follow up or don't reach out, but we're gonna talk about that later. I think the email is an important, kind of first, kind of like first, branding or first marketing of yourself. This portion here is, we always feel it's nice to have a certain kind of introduction of yourself. This can be 2 lines, it can be 3 lines. We don't really recommend that you put more than 3 lines in here. Otherwise, it may look too long. This is an opportunity for you to kind of put a short bio of yourself. For example, we have here highly motivated, result-oriented, and adaptable finance professional with the ability to foster key relationships, yada, 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 yada. So this is a nice intro about who you are. So if you're, in finance, you can put whatever financial skills you feel it's, that you portray yourself to, you want to portray yourself to a recruiter. If you are an HR person, you may want to put more people-oriented things in there, because that will catch someone's eye when, looking through your resume. We also, and maybe some of you already have that in your resume, we really see that, this helps the recruiter really get a grasp on your profile. We always appreciate when there is a few bullet points highlighting some key strengths or key expertise, especially if you don't have, extensive work experience. We definitely recommend, having some bullet points like that. You can talk about public speaking skills, just very short public speaking. You can put things like, budgeting, or you can put something like, project management. It's really how you're going to be creating your brand, and that will really catch the recruiter's eye.
And even though if you do not have like a formal experience, you may have experience in extracurricular activities like sports or like a club or even a volunteer experience. So it's important to try to think about how you can replicate that into the real world. So if you volunteer, you may manage like a fundraising event, or you may put together an event. So those are skills that can be applicable to the real world. So always try to think out of the box, and this will help you build your first resume, for example.
Absolutely. Before we move on to the next one, which I think is the one that, you know, when friends reach out to us or even candidates, you know, it's where the most of the questions are. Do you guys have any questions up to this point that we can address?
Hey Nathan, I have a question here in the chat box that was sent over to me. So the question is, if we don't put anything on the bio part of it, does that deter a recruiter, or is that really a preference per recruiter?
No, absolutely not. If you don't have anything there, it's not something that's gonna, you know, put you in any kind of jeopardy. This is a nice to have. If you don't have that, don't feel like because you don't have it, you're gonna be, your resume is gonna be tossed out of the, you know, of the good pool, you know, or the ones that are gonna move forward. So don't feel that way. That's, from our experience, that doesn't really matter much, but it's a nice to have. It's a good addition to have on your resume.
Thank you.
I saw someone raise the hand. I think it was Danny.
Yes, hi, this is Danny. My question
Hello.
is, hi, so is it important to have the key qualification and expertise area right at the beginning? Because on my resume, I have it kind of at the end, but I think it's what I have, it's more of other qualifications, what you have under systems and languages and so on.
Okay, very good question. So the question is if we should have this portion here, the expertise and qualifications on top, or if it's okay to have it further down, you know, further down on your resume. Let's put this way: if you, when the recruiter are looking through many resumes, right? I mean, recruiters may look at resumes in the screen, or they may print out resumes and then go one by one. They will always look first at the top, and then they work their way down. So if they look first at the top and they see already something that, you know, connects to or makes a relation to the job that they are recruiting for, they're gonna say, they're gonna put that resume aside to the pool that they're gonna look further. So what you don't want to miss the opportunity to put something that could be that eye catcher in the beginning, further at the end. So we recommend always having, you know, those keywords in the beginning. Now, of course, depending what it is, if you're, for example, certified in something, or if you have certain language skills that is not necessarily required for the job, you can always put that, you know, on the end of the resume. But if something is being asked in the job description, let's say that you apply for a role that they ask for French language, and you do speak French, you don't want to put the French language further down in the resume. You know, put that right in the beginning, because that's going to catch the recruiter's eyes.
Yeah, and that's why sometimes you see, for example, in this template, we see like a key qualifications and expertise, but at the end, other qualifications. So even though sometimes, as Nathan said, we may have language in those two bullets, if you're looking for the job description, this is a requirement, a base qualification for the role. You want to make sure that the recruiter will see that. So usually a recruiter spends less than a minute reviewing a resume. So that's why it's important to really pay attention on the job description versus the resume, and try to put things that will stand out in the beginning.
Cool. Thank you for the very good question, by the way.
We have another question, Nathan, in the chat box. So the question is, for the bio, how can we avoid using big or generic words? Do you feel that some words are overused in a resume bio? Or are there good words to use that do catch your eye?
Very good question. Definitely. So going back to the beginning, right? There is no secret formula. There is no magic formula. But in our experience, yes, there are some words that are overused, right? I mean, leadership is one of them. We feel that if we write leadership, hey, very good leadership, huh? Hire me. Okay, that is a good word to use, but always make sure that that word comes attached to something that it can really make a connection to something concrete and to your experience. If the recruiter just go in there and read and it's too generic, you might be like, oh, okay. I have to say, like, I don't think this is what we call like a knockout, part of the resume. You may decide to remove this entirely, but if you do include it, words that we know that are very helpful, or that at least add value to someone's application, are those words that are connected to the requirements that are being asked for the position. So that's why I say there is no one rule here. If you're applying for a position in finance and you're going to be doing forecasting or whatever, you want to tailor your introduction to something finance related. And I have to say, many times actually, if I'm recruiting, let's say for a finance role, and I'm going through resumes and I read the blurb saying very experienced HR professional, and I'm like, oh, maybe that's not a resume, maybe that's not the profile I'm looking for. So you always have to tailor each resume to the position you're applying. This is very important. It may take time, and we know sometimes it's kind of tedious, but make sure that you use that to your benefit. So always job description and your resume. Hopefully we answer it. We're gonna talk about some verbs, okay? So in the next portion, there are some key verbs and words that we feel are very, proactive words that, help really shape a good description of experiences, which you can in turn use in the beginning. Okay. Any other questions, guys? We good, Anna? All right. So now we come to the professional experience. And as mentioned before, you can always list here experiences that you had that are not necessarily in companies, in clubs or in societies or in community. If you, for example, worked in a fundraising activity, you can always include them here as well, because that will also be important, especially if you don't have that much professional experience. Always, and this is also important, always list the company name, and it's a very common practice that the company name will come on the left side. Your job title will come also on the left side, and dates can come right after the company or right after the job title, but the most common ones are the dates that come on the right side. We as recruiters, this is exactly what we do. We take the resume. I know I have to have somebody with at least 3 years of experience. We look at the resume and we start adding up those dates, and if it's more or less 3 years, it will depend, of course, on the, how hard those requirements are. You move forward, but it's important to have those there.
Yeah, and it's very important in regards of experience, always put on top the most recent experience. That's very key, because you don't want to, confuse the recruiter. And whenever you're describing your experience, what really helps is if you can provide like a KPIs, tangible results. So that's very important. And whenever you're describing the experience, try to be concise. So ideally between 3 and max 5 bullets explaining the experience that you had, that you have or that you had. So these are very key points because this is the section usually for recruiters is the most valuable section to kind of understand what is your experience. If it is not in a formal job, but your experience in other activities, what you have been done that is connected to the position that you are applying to. So that's, I think, the key piece whenever we are reviewing resumes. And as Nathan said, we do have a few verbs that can help you building and structuring your experience. So always take the lead. I mean, try to put on the resume your role and your activities, your actions, describing professionally, but in the first person, so the recruiter will understand that you have been doing that or you had done that.
Do we have questions on this portion, guys?
I don't see any questions in the chat box, so I think we're okay.
Okay, perfect. I think for us, one of the biggest things that, you know, sets you apart from other candidates are really the KPIs, and when you include achievements. Okay, so you can always just put bullet points saying responsible for generating reports, responsible for creating dashboards, responsible for da 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 da. But you know, if you include things that you actually accomplished, for example, instead of putting responsible for reports, you can put responsible for generating 3,000 reports that helped management make decisions on merger and acquisition. Wow, this guy is key. You know, we will look at it differently because that will attach your responsibilities to the value that you are adding to that company. And for us, that will be very important. So that is actually a tip that we give everyone, a recommendation. You can always, you know, list the responsibilities, but make sure you include also, you know, key achievements. You can do that during the bullet points, or you can even below the bullet points, just
main achievements.
Just write main achievements and list A, B, C, done. So we see that that's very helpful. Now, we had a question regarding verbs and words that catch the eye. And, you know, we see that in here, you know, there are some words that from our experience, you know, really help specify what exactly you do, like advise, analyze, assess, budget, check, compile, conduct, design, ensure, and so on and so forth. So you guys will have access to this, I think, right, Anna? We're gonna be able to share the presentation with them.
Yes, we'll send everyone the PowerPoint after the call. Okay,
cool. So, you know, you can always look at these verbs and, you know, apply that to your resume. Okay. By the way, internships also valuable. We know sometimes, you know, people ask us, oh, should I include my internships in my resume, or is that not, you know, that doesn't count? Do that count for the amount of experience that is required? Yes, everything counts. Just include it. If it's relevant for the job that you're applying, definitely put in there. Okay, if you had an internship that has no relation or doesn't portray to you to have the skills that is being asked for, you can decide to leave it out if you are maximized on space. So, and we're gonna talk about the, you know, how many pages we recommend as well. But if you have space, if you add values and it doesn't do any bad, definitely make a well-written experience and include that in there. Okay, now the portion below, education. Now on this one, I know sometimes people put their education on top. Okay, instead of having it here, they will put that right here around those two portions there. Is there a good practice or a bad practice? Well, for us recruiters, we are mostly interested in your professional experience and on your skills. So we're gonna first look at the top and we know where to find the education. Now, it's common to have the education on the bottom as we have it here, and we recommend that because, as I mentioned, for us, the most important point, and based on our experience, is to have the professional and your skill set come up front. Don't feel that it's not important to have the education there. Definitely is, but this is a structure that normally works well.
Yeah, and I know depends of the industry. I've been working with tech, so even though education is very important for us, we do value a lot the professional history or extracurricular activities rather than just education. So that's why for me, ideally, I would like to see resumes with education not on the top. And when it comes to education, you can always reinforce things that is around the course that you are taking, the day of your graduation, the year of your graduation, because maybe you want to apply for internships, so that would be very important to the recruiter. And if it is helpful, you can definitely add your GPA on that. There is no right or wrong. Sometimes for different industries, they find 3 is like a low GPA, but for some of the industry, that's not low. So I would definitely recommend to add this piece on your resume. And I think these are key things for this section. And again, always be very attentive to the dates. So make sure that your most recent course or graduation is on the top and the others below.
And one tip that we have not included in here, and it's not necessarily about the resume itself, but if you guys are graduating now or you already have a degree and you want to demonstrate that you're keeping yourself up to date and you have more education, maybe if you don't want to do a master now because whatever reason, there are a lot of certificates out there that you can do even online. I myself have a certificate from Cornell, and that's something that you can definitely put on your resume. There are certificates that may take a year, virtual, and it will give you some extra points. When the recruiter is looking at it and seeing, okay, this person is really investing on himself or herself. So just a tip, maybe that's not for you guys right now, but something to keep in mind as you plan your career and you plan your next steps after graduation. Now the final portion, the other qualifications. In here you can list any system experience you have, any knowledge on tools, you can list your Microsoft Office that we know is very common to put that in the resume. Knowledge, you can put project management tools, whatever you want. Think very carefully because sometimes we know more systems that we remember. You may have worked with stuff before that it's not on your resume, but if you do know those systems, list it. Because you never know, maybe a company that's hiring you do have that system. They're not necessarily gonna ask about that, but if it's in there and they have it, they may say, oh, they use this guy knows or this girl knows the same system as we have here. Oh, that maybe it's a good thing. So, make sure you put everything in there. Don't forget anything. You can always include the language skills also in this portion and any other training. I know we didn't have training in this example here, but this is where you would list trainings.
Short-term training.
Yes, very short portion. You don't have to list, put a whole list of trainings that you've done online or whatever, but pick those that are key or that can portray to you as a good candidate for the job you're applying for. And, this is where you would include them.
We have 2 questions, Nathan.
Yay.
One is if a student did volunteer work somewhere, should that be included on the resume? And then the second one is, should the LinkedIn profile URL be included in the resume as well?
Okay,
Great
great
questions. Great
questions.
questions. So you want to take the first one?
Yeah, so in regards of volunteer experience, I think, for example, if you don't have any formal experience, you can definitely use the volunteer experience in the work experience in using and be very clear that this was a volunteer experience. This will not hurt, but ensure that you are describing and picture that on how this experience is linked to the real world job. So again, I'm just thinking out loud, but for example, if you have done a volunteer experience working with a nonprofit for marketing, you can describe projects like I've been working a Facebook campaign. I do have social media skills, so these will help you build some of the activities that you have been working, and for sure this is something that you can replicate to the real world.
Yeah.
And I think the second question was related to picture and the resume.
No, the LinkedIn profile, the URL. If we should include the URL into the resume now.
Yes. And always use the short one because it's the one that is linkedin.com/your name. Avoid to use like a long links. So that will also be super helpful.
Yeah. Good
Perfect.
questions, guys.
Thank you.
Anything else? And we're gonna talk more about LinkedIn later. Okay, how are we doing with time?
Yeah.
Oh, time is flying. Time is flying. Okay, we're gonna speed up a little bit. Interviewing tips. So we divided this into before and during the interview. Before interview, always study the company that you are applying and then you're gonna interview for. Always read about the job, read the job description. If it helps you create a summary of the job description, and while you're writing, think how you match with that job description. It's very important to understand the company culture, the company value. Some of these companies, they have, like Amazon, for example, they have published their leadership principles. And if you come to the interview knowing that stuff, you're gonna be, in front of a lot of other candidates that haven't done that good homework.
Yes, and today we have Google, so it's very easy to find information. And if you're looking for internships or like a full-time jobs, if you go to Glassdoor, which is a great resource, you can find even questions like that people do in the interviews. So you will be ahead of the competition if you get these questions and try to think ahead of the responses and prepare yourself for that. So there are numerous of resources that are available online. It's just a matter of Google that, and this will definitely help you.
And of course, during the interview, make sure you're punctual and you're polite. We know it can be nerve-wracking. You can be nervous about something, about the interview itself. It's normal. The recruiter knows it's normal. Try to control that, and one way that you can control is just focus on the moment. Don't think about like, I have to pass, or what's gonna happen, or what questions. Don't think of any of that. Just focus on the moment. Go, you prepared. So that's why preparing is very important, because if you prepare well, you have confidence that you can do a good interview. Show enthusiasm, stay focused, show passion about why you want to work there. Pay attention to your body language, guys. Sometimes don't be like this in the in the interview, or like this, because this basically is telling me that you are closed, or you are in a protective kind of mindset. So be really mindful of that. You can rest your hands over the table. You can use your hands to make gestures and whatnot. I mean, we could give a whole 1 hour, but we have limited time here about body language.
Make an eye contact. That's very important, and especially those days we are all locked at home, and sometimes your interviews are going to be virtual, are going to be via video conference. It's how we have been done, at least at my company. So it's very important to make a connection, make an eye contact, and try always to do not move a lot around and those kind of things, you know. So this will help the interviewer look and see how much you are concentrated and focused on the conversation.
Absolutely.
We have 3 questions.
Yes, let's do it.
So the first one is there such a thing as too much information on a resume where I guess it would get cluttered? The second one is, how long should we wait before we hear back from the place we applied to? If we don't hear back, do we send an email, or how should we follow up? And then the third one, hold on, I lost it. It was somewhere over here. We can start with those 2, and I'll go back because the other one was private.
Sure. So the first one, if there is such a thing as too much information, yes, there is such a thing as too much information. Your resume should be, you know, if you don't have that extensive experience, should be 1 page. We particularly don't necessarily feel that you cannot have 2 pages. You can always have 2 pages, but you shouldn't have two or 3 pages like with a lot of information there. No, it has to be clean. It has to be.
Oh no, I think we lost our presenters. Hold on, everybody. I will text them.
The word that you wrote in the resume, but we know that's not the reality.
Hey,
Right?
Nathan?
So, yes.
You guys froze, so we lost about like 10 to 15 seconds of audio.
Oh.
In case you want to go back to what you were saying.
It says our internet connection is unstable. Okay. Can you guys hear us?
We can. You know what we can do? We can actually maybe move on, and then maybe I can just send you the questions and we'll get to them at the end. Sounds
good. Perfect. We definitely can talk about those. So the other important point, and I know it's, you know, still during the interview, you want to talk about the STAR method?
So there is one methodology, again, it's not right or wrong, but I think it can really help you whenever you're thinking about your experience and whenever you want to share your story with the recruiter or the interviewer. The STAR method, it stands for situation, task, action, and result. So basically, whenever you're in an interview, it's a storytelling. You're telling the story of your professional history or your experiences overall. So the STAR method really help you focus on what kind of situation you want to share, what kind of role you play in this situation, your actions there, and what was the final outcome? What was the lesson learned? So again, it comes to be straightforward, but also bringing the relevant details or data to the story that you want to share and disclose with the interviewer. So this is one methodology that big companies really encourage candidates to start, because that's something that will help you really focus on things that you have been doing. And during an interview, we are learning about yourself, about the candidate through actions that he or she have been doing throughout their professional history or their life overall.
We really like this method because it keeps you within a certain line of thought. You know, it's sometimes when you're interviewing, it can be, if you don't follow a certain methodology, or if you don't follow a certain path in your mind, you may get confused. You may say the end first, and then you go back to the beginning, and then you talk about the middle, and then the recruiter may be kind of like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm getting, or he or she looks kind of like all over the place or scrambled, and that may not portray you, you know, in the best way. So the STAR method really helps you, you know, keep that, you know, 4 things step by step, and then, you know, it adds value to the recruiting.
And always be ready with questions. So a process is like a two-way door. You're also evaluating the company, the position. So make your questions, and it doesn't hurt also to make questions around next steps. So what comes next? So that's very natural, and you as a candidate want to know, so you are going to expect a response about the process. So definitely encourage you guys to, make questions around the company, the position, and also next steps. And there are very common questions. It doesn't matter the company or the position that you are applying. That is very common around many places. So why should we hire you? Can you tell me about yourself? Why do you want to work here? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? So have this prepared, because for sure will come up during a conversation, or even if you are in a network event, you want to make sure that you do have those answers, because you never know who you are talking to. So it's how sometimes you start and you can find a great position.
Absolutely. Any questions?
We have a question, yes. So the question is, how do we answer the question, how do you see yourself in 5 years?
So there are many ways to answer this question, right? I think it's important to show the recruiter that you have ambition to grow, but at the same time, you are also
you are
well-grounded.
You are firm about, what you are, doing right now to achieve this in 5 years. So for example, I want to be in the leadership role. I cannot just say, okay, I want to be a CEO in 5 years. No, that's not the kind of response. We need to ensure that if I want to be a CEO, what kind of actions I'm taking right now. So I can definitely respond to an interview and something like, so right now I'm taking some new activities. I've been leading and some interns and some contractors in order to develop leadership skills, which will help me be ready for my next step, which can be like a CEO or a leader, for example. So that's very key whenever you're thinking about this question. It can be something very generic. You need to make sure that you are picturing the things that you are doing right now that it will help you achieve these in 5 years.
Hopefully we answer it. And just going back very quickly on those questions you asked about, if it was something about too much information, we answered yes, to avoid, be concise. And when is a good time to follow up with a recruiter? We feel 2 weeks. If you haven't heard anything in 2 weeks, it's more or less the rule of thumb. You can always send a nice follow-up email. Now, we know that some companies may tell you, hey, we know it's gonna take us 3 weeks, it's gonna take us a month or whatever. So just be mindful of that. If you're given a timeline, give more or less the time. And sometimes we know that unfortunately you may never hear back, which we particularly think it's not a good practice by the HR community, and everyone should receive some form of feedback. But you can always follow up within 2 weeks. That's more or less a rule of thumb.
We have another question here that says, what do we highlight? What do we highlight about a company when they ask us, what do you know about us? Like when a company asks you to tell them about themselves. Like if a company says, what do you know about us? Absolutely,
very good. Make sure you know the company values. Even if you are making even if it's your own perspective, when you look through the company website, they're gonna talk about their products. You need to know what they do. Do they create something? Do they manufacture something? What do they manufacture? Are they providing a service? What kind of service? So we always feel like it's good to know who are the clients, okay? Who is the customer for this company? Who are some key competitors of this company? And what is the industry? What kind of a market is this company on? So you need to know that. Those are basics. If you're applying for Amazon and you don't know what Amazon does, you may just show up and say, well, I like Amazon. I buy a lot of stuff at Amazon. Yes, that's great. But what are other things that you know about Amazon? Because that's gonna set you apart from the competition. You should assume that overall everyone knows about Amazon, and everyone, you know, or the majority of people at least have seen Amazon before. But what else can you know that is very specific? So think of those things. You know, who is the customer? Company values, and you can create, and you can always you know, explain what you understand the company is. And you can even ask the person, you know, am I getting that correctly? Because when I look at your website, you know, it really seems that you guys care about diversity. There's a lot of things about that in there. Maybe you can tell me, you can always ask the interviewer, maybe you can tell me a little bit about those initiatives. And that will really show that you have a real interest. So those are some tips. I don't know if you...
Yeah, and I think that's a very key question. So if you can share how much you learn about the company, the industry trends, this will show to the interviewer that you are capable to learn fast. So this is very helpful if you are looking for your first job, or even, I mean, for an internship, because we'll set a part of the competition. Usually people only say like a very broad answers, but if you really go into the details, that will help you for sure to also reinforce to the interviewer that you are a fast learner, for example.
Cool. Any other questions?
I don't see any more questions in the chat box or sent to us directly.
Awesome. I see some people taking notes, and I'm like, hey. All right. So we included a few tips for networking, guys. You know, always leverage your social network. You guys probably know a lot of people. You have friends, you have colleagues, you have parents, you know, family. These people work in companies, you know, so whenever you are in a social gathering, either in person or virtually, you know, you can always ask, you know, how is it to work in your company? How is your company? How, you know, so, you know, make sure that you use that to your favor, right? Especially for job hunting. You wanna get information from all kind of areas, and you know, it's a good source from the people that you trust, that can tell you how things are really in reality. Have a well-written LinkedIn profile, and by well-written, you can take more or less the same ideas as we gave on the resume: concise, few bullet points, have a nice picture, a professional picture. Don't put your picture on the beach or something like that, because that's not professional. And I know we mentioned about Glassdoor before.
Yes, Glassdoor is very cool. It's one platform that you go, you can also do your job search over there. There are a lot of great companies that post jobs there, but other than that, they share information about salary range, experience during interviews. So it's a very helpful link that you can go through, and also you have reviews from employees about their insights on how to work in this company. So that's a great resource. When I first moved here, this was the place to go for me to really learn about the companies that I was aiming to work for.
Yeah, and you know, read news, understand, like we were talking about who are the customers, right? Who are the peers? Who are the competitors? When you know that stuff, you know, you are relevant, because maybe your friends want to work for the company that you are also applying for, or you are working in a company that they have an interest. So it's always about being, you know, a value added to others, and in turn, you know, they're gonna share things with you as well. So be resourceful, you leverage your network, and always keep, you know, a good reputation. If you say you're gonna do something, do it. If you cannot do it, be transparent. So these are very, you know, we put that in here, but these are very kind of general life, you know, attitude, good attitude, very basics. But we know that sometimes the most important one is follow up and stay connected. You know, maybe you worked with somebody in, you know, 6 months ago, and, you know, and you had some opening there was some trust, you know, there was some empathy. You know, why not send a, you know, IM or a LinkedIn message every now and then just to check in and say, hey, how are things? You know, I started to look, you know, for jobs, and I would appreciate if you can let me know if there's anything on your area. Use that. Don't be afraid. You know, be confident. Use your social network, and also get to know more people. You know, don't feel afraid of you know, putting yourself out there. You know, that's kind of sometimes putting us out of our comfort zone, but you know, it can really make a difference.
We have 2 questions about Glassdoor.
Yes.
So the first one is, if a company has low ratings on Glassdoor, should we ask an interviewer about it, or should we not go there?
I mean,
good question.
That's a great question, tricky one. I personally wouldn't recommend to go and ask why the low reviews. I think you can do your assessment by reviewing that, and this will help you during the interview really learn more towards the position and the kind of leadership that they do have, instead of only rely on the Glassdoor. Glassdoor, you can see a trend. So you may see a lot of complaints, maybe about the CEO, but come on, maybe you're not going to work closely with the CEO. So these are things that you need to take in consideration when you're reviewing. But personally, I don't think it helps to probe around why are the reviews low in Glassdoor. But on the other hand, I mean, when I was interviewing at Amazon, I asked them about an article that was a bad reputation. So I didn't take my advice, but I was curious about why they had such a bad article, even though I was very interested to join. So the interview had a great response. I'm working there. So again, there is no right or wrong, but I personally do not advise to probe around Glassdoor reviews.
I would say on my side, I would say that you can always investigate during the interview regarding Glassdoor reviews without necessarily referring directly to Glassdoor reviews. Okay, we particularly wouldn't feel bad or offended if somebody would say, "Oh, so I was seeing some reviews in Glassdoor, and you know, can you tell me about this or that?" You know, we would actually expect that you have done your homework and you actually went through Glassdoor and saw some things. But you know, if you saw something Glassdoor that concerns you, you know, let's say people are really talking about the leadership. You know, there is a lot of reviews about bad leaders and in the organization and how they treat people unfairly and things like that. If you go to the interview, ask directly, say, how is the leadership here? You know, do you feel that the leadership here is, you know, is it like open doors policy? How is the relationship between leadership and the workers? You can ask those questions straightforward. You're going to see immediately in the eyes of the recruiter and how the recruiter is responding, if that's BS, I'm sorry, my language, or if that's real, okay, this person is really confident that no, you know, maybe it was a punctual situation, maybe somebody had a bad experience and whatnot.
Or sometimes what you can always ask is why, I mean, the interviewer, why do you like to work here? So what are the things that you, I mean, value of being at this company? So those are questions that maybe you will do like your evaluation in terms of what you are seeing at Glassdoor, and also from the interviewer's perspective. Each person has a different experience at the company. If you see a trend, it's also up to you if you are up to join a company that's, I mean, is very well clear about like a trend about leadership or any other things that maybe is not so cool for you.
We have thank you guys. We have a second question, and this is
Yes.
about LinkedIn. This is about LinkedIn. So is it okay to reach out to recruiters on LinkedIn after you've applied for a job?
I mean, that doesn't hurt. So I think that's also a great way to be connected. So add people in your network, and you can definitely do an intro in LinkedIn. Sometimes they will not respond because as a recruiter, we do have like a 2 separating box. So we have one dedicated for recruiters and one personal one. So personally, for example, I can only handle my recruiter inbox, which is when I reach out directly to people when I'm doing my search. My personal one, I do get a lot of invites or also a lot of messages. Unfortunately, I can't catch up with all of that, but you can definitely reach out to people and I mean, do like an intro, like a follow-up, say the job ID that you had applied for. So if this person is not the recruiter, sometimes if they do reply, they can just forward to that. But always apply to the jobs on the career page, because this is the way of most of the recruiters, whenever they are doing the search in the system, even though you apply to a different job, maybe 6 months later, they will have a position. So if they see your resume there, is how it's the first place that we go to search resumes, to our database, to our system. So that's why it's very important to apply to the career pages and not only try to reach out to people through LinkedIn.
Yes, because they would in turn tell you to go apply online, because without your application online, they cannot consider you a candidate, so they can't really engage with you. I know the time is pretty much up, but I feel like I want to stay here longer. I mean, if there are any other questions, definitely let us know.
I do have one more question from the chat box. So the question is, what is the most professional way of connecting with with your network? So would it be email or would it be a LinkedIn message?
I personally do prefer LinkedIn messages, because LinkedIn for me is professional. Like emails, I mean, I think it's just so easy to be lost. So LinkedIn is the place to go. Is also where you can read the articles, you can connect with different peoples in the industry. So definitely connecting by LinkedIn is the way to go.
Yeah, this one is tricky, guys, because there are some companies that they don't use much LinkedIn as a recruiting tool, believe it or not. I know our companies, they use that a lot. It's one of our main tools for proactively looking at people. But a lot of companies, we have a say in HR that companies that don't use that, they post and pray. So the post and pray is you post a position and you forget it and you pray that good candidates are going to apply for it. That doesn't work, if your company doesn't have good reputation, or if your branding is not that strong. So you may actually need to use LinkedIn. I think this one, it doesn't hurt. You can always follow up through email. But if you see the person, you found who is the person that talked to you, feel free to send a message in LinkedIn as well. You have to be careful, so don't spam people, don't go and write, a message following up every 2 days or something like that, because you're going to annoy the person. And, people are human beings. They're also not perfect, and they may just shut down, which is not nice, but you don't want to be that person.
Another question we have is, how long should cover letters be?
Like a 1 page max. Yeah. I mean, each company may have a different approach. So be very attentive if the company is asking for a cover letter, or sometimes they also give examples. But usually it's just like a short summary. So it shouldn't be like a 2 page. 1 page, it's the best approach overall that I've been seeing.
Yeah. For me, 1 page max, and it can even be half page, and it's just like a nice intro. It's a little bit more space for you to show your interest in the company. They may read it, they may not read it, but if you include the cover letter, or if they ask a cover letter, definitely include it. And if you include it, make sure that it's not longer than 1 page. That's for sure.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good question. Good question.
We have more questions, Nathan.
Go
so
ahead.
Another question. We know that the thank you letter or the thank you note is important, but if you don't send a thank you note or you forget, does it actually deter you from potentially not getting the job?
No, that's fine.
No.
Yeah.
No. If you forgot it, don't beat yourself. Don't overthink. Don't think that you're not being contacted because you didn't say thank you. No, that's not the case. I would be really shocked if that's the case. And, you know, if it's the case, you would even think, you know, is that a company you want to work for that, you know, turn down people based on that kind of thing. So definitely that's not a thing for us.
And then we have another Glassdoor question. If we look at a company on Glassdoor and they have bad reviews, do you as recruiters recommend that we maybe not apply to that company?
Look, I mean, I will give my opinion, maybe you see it differently, but I think Glassdoor will only show you a portion of that company's reputation, right? You should look at Glassdoor. You should look at the news. You should look at articles. You should look at the company's, website. This is like reading a newspaper, guys. You're gonna go to the newspaper. You read through the news. Can you believe on everything that is on that newspaper? Or is it better that you read a second newspaper and you also read stuff online and blogs and whatever, and you talk to people, and then you formulate your own opinion of what the company is? So don't feel Glassdoor is the one-stop shop for truth, because we also know that depending on the moment the company has gone through, if this company has just laid off people, oh, you betcha that there would be a lot of people going Glassdoor and trashing the company. And maybe it's just that portion that had unfortunately went through that experience and they want to express how they're feeling, and that doesn't necessarily say everything about the company, right? So be careful with that. It may be a tricky one, but read through more than one source always.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. So it's a source that can help you, but you cannot just formulate your opinion based on that. And I mean, I would say for me, I think we always need to take risks. And even though if you see something that is not perfect or is not it's not like a dream come true, all the companies are going to have things that you are not going to like.
Yeah.
So that's the real world. So I think you need to balance a lot of components when you are making a decision. But if you are in a job search, you're exploring. You're just, trying. So whenever you land an interview is when you are going also to have a chance to speak with someone who works there, and this will be very helpful.
Thank you, guys. If you still have some time, we have some more questions.
Yeah.
So another question we have is, when we apply for jobs, what is the average time span when we should hear back, and when should we assume that we are not going to be contacted?
That depends. So I think a lot of companies, you may also get an email right after you apply to the job saying that due to the high volume, you are only going to receive an email from us or an update if the team feels you are a fit for this particular position. Otherwise, we'll keep your resume profile for upcoming roles. So most of the big companies, they do have a kind of template saying that right away that you apply, you get this message. So it depends really of the company. So sometimes we can take like a month, or due to a lot of internal reasons, we can take like 3-4 months to reach out to a candidate. Of course, if it is like a program, like a leadership program, an internship program, you kind of know the timelines because they say, okay, we need this intern to start on May. So if you do not hear anything by May, you know you are not considered to this particular position. So overall, I think it's very rare to get an email if you are not a fit for the position. But you can also kind of go through the applications. Whenever you apply to a company, you can see the jobs that you have applied, and sometimes they will have the status on this internal page with all the jobs that you have applied, and you will see if you're considering or not. So that may be helpful. And most of the emails from companies, they go to spam folders. So it's also a good way checking the spam folder, because those responses can go to this inbox.
Yeah, one thing to add, guys, you know, don't feel like if you applied for a company and you haven't heard back, you're like, okay, maybe it was not a fit. You apply for another company, you haven't heard back. That will happen. So, you know, don't feel like it's yourself. Don't feel like, you know, you have to apply for multiple roles. This is, you know, this is just the way it is. You know, it may turn out that the company you applied is the one for you, and you're gonna be contacted. You're gonna go for the interview, and everything goes smoothly, and you get hired. But that's rather the exception, and not really what happens in the majority of the cases. So you really wanna go search every day for positions that you feel you are a fit in Glassdoor, in LinkedIn, in other websites. Indeed.
Career builders. We do have a lot of sources nowadays that you can definitely trigger even updates to receive in the email. So that will help a lot. And as Nathan said, I mean, do not give up. Job search, it is very time consuming. I do have my personal experience to share. When I first moved here, I had applied to over 100 of positions. I had like a spreadsheet keeping the track of all the positions that I've applied. So it took me like some time to land my first job here. But it was a very unexpected way that I found a position. I applied for one role, but they need someone who was able to communicate in English, Portuguese, and also Spanish. So they had another job that I didn't see the post, and it's how I found my first job here. So it can take time. It is a lot of time preparing resumes, but it's something that we go through a process, and we learn a lot, so we can improve a lot of things in the job search, in interviews. So even though you need to do like a lot of interviews, that's great. That's the way that you're going to practice and be a master.
Absolutely.
During an interview, if we feel nervous, is it okay to tell the recruiter that we're feeling nervous? Or do you recommend?
I think that's completely fine. You can say, I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous right now. And you know, the question here is, if that helps you, if saying gives you some comfort to say, okay, I'm sharing that because in my mind, I feel that if I tell that, I don't keep thinking that the recruiter might be judging me or whatnot, because you already told the recruiter. So you kind of already established that, you know, that open, transparent communication. You know, if that helps you, if you feel like doing that, it's okay. It's okay. Recruiters should be human. They should, you know, really understand that, you know, this is a nerve-wracking time. What you should be careful with is that you don't let the, you know, the fact that you are nervous really get on the way of answering questions. I've interviewed, you know, candidates. Unfortunately, one come to mind that, you know, this poor guy, he was very nervous, and you know, we as recruiters sometimes we just wanna tell like just be fine, like just relax, you know. We can try to be as nice as possible. And that helps, you know, without like putting pressure on asking question on over question, like give the candidate some time. But you as the candidate, you know, you have to, you can say that, that's completely fine, but keep moving, you know. If you didn't understand the question because you kind of lost track, or you lost the focus, just ask again, say, oh, just to make sure I got correctly, can you repeat the last question? You know, you can say, as long as you're being nice. That's why we always tell people, if you apply for a lot of jobs, you're gonna get more chances to do interviews. If you do more interviews, you're gonna be more experienced in interviewing, because it's not a science, it's it's behavior, and you're gonna feel more confident every single interview. The next one is gonna be easier. The next one is gonna be easier than the one before. So it's okay. And if you leave an interview and you feel like you didn't do well, that's okay. That's okay. You didn't do well. You really want it, but just forget about it. Focus on the next job. That will keep your mind out of the punishing yourself and overthinking and being kind of obsessed of what could I have done differently or why I was so nervous. Doesn't matter. Move to the next one. What's the next job I'm going to apply? And that you keep going until you find that one job.
And take the lesson learned, and if you feel that you are nervous in different conversations, and that's very natural. We are all humans here. So try to think different and kind of try to do like a role play. Ask a friend, so you will feel more comfortable. Even though you can train in front of a mirror, sometimes if you have a friend ask you the questions, you are going to have someone that may probe you, and then you will feel more comfortable when you go to the real experience. So definitely try like a role play. This can help you with all these feelings and emotions too.
We have one last question for you guys.
Yeah, sure. I'm loving. We got so many questions. That's so cool.
So as recruiters, what makes you guys excited during an interview? Like what kind of candidate just like makes you super happy?
Awesome.
That's
great
great question.
You want to start?
Yeah, so I love when the candidate is very well prepared, when they come with a lot of information about the company, when they do have great questions for me too. So when they want to learn more about the position, when they want to learn why I'm happy doing my job. So it's when the interview flows in this way, when the person is very well prepared. And we feel and we know when they had done the homework. So I think that's very key, and it's what whenever I see a candidate like that, this is super for me.
For me as well, and for me especially when I see that the candidate is genuine. You're not following kind of like a strict. You're not like being robotic. We can have like a conversational interview, and because that will show a lot of interest. If the candidate come and ask me things that are really like questions that about things that he or she's really interested in knowing. It's how about you're being polite. It's smiling. That is actually very simple, and even if you're nervous, you can smile, and trust me, it makes a difference. Sometimes people are so nervous or they're so concentrated, they just like kind of like froze a little bit, and they just answer, and maybe this is the nicest person, but the recruiter leave and feel like, oh, this guy or this girl is like, he was like really like froze and he couldn't really answer. No, but just smile, it will help you, because when you smile, the person will smile back. You will feel more comfortable and you will relax. You're not gonna focus to think too much of what's gonna happen or whatever, and you're just gonna live the moment. And that will help your mindset to just be who you are and just share what you know and ask questions and be genuine. So for us, really when it flows.
Too. Yeah, when it flows, when you be yourself, when you're genuine. So of course preparation helps, but we don't want to have conversations with a robot or just hear what we want to hear, or what are the right answers. So I like people when they surprise me, when they know more than me. So that's for me the difference.
One thing to add, I think as recruiters, we have more or less a rule. The candidate needs to speak 70% of the time, and the recruiter should speak 30% of the time. It should never be the other way around. Rule of thumb, of course. So for me, you know, if I have to, you know, if the interview feels like pulling teeth, like I have to, like I'm not being, you know, this candidate is not sharing anything. I'm it's so hard to get the answers. You know, that's not a great interview. That's why we said in one of the tips, avoid yes or no. You know, you can always say yes and no, but elaborate a little bit. Do you have experience with SAP? If you don't have experience with SAP, you can say, you know what, I never had the chance, but what I can tell is that, you know, I worked with another system and I feel I could definitely learn SAP. That's a good answer. If you do have experience with SAP, the bad answer is, yes, I do. And keep looking at the recruiter, and the recruiter feels like he has to carry you along the interview. The good answer is, yes, I do have experience with SAP. I actually used in my last company, we were doing reports XYZ. So I feel like I know, you know, quite a good, you know, obviously I can always learn, but, you know, maybe for what you guys use SAP here, what's the, you know, you can even revert. So always give a little bit of information. You know, you don't want to be too extensive, but always share. Don't just be like yes and no, because it doesn't flow. So whenever it's more conversational like that, you know, it's good experiences and good interviews for us.
I have a question here about passive versus active language in the description of your experience, but I'm not really quite sure if I understand the question. So the question was posed in the general chat box. I don't know, Sarah, if you can get off mute and ask the question a little.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no problem. There's a director of internships at Seton Hall, and she will look over your resume and your cover letter, and practice interviews with you, so you know how to answer difficult questions or things like that. And I had my I had my resume in with active verbs, such as designed whatever software for something like that, or not designed. I put it in active, and then she told me that she recommended that I put it in passive, in past tense, so that it sounded like I already achieved it. She used that word. She said it made it sound, give it a sense of achievement when you put it in past tense. So I thought I'm losing my train of thought. I thought active was the best because it shows that you currently know how to do this. You're able to continue doing it, but then she recommended passive. So I just had that question in my mind, when you should use active or when you should use passive, if you should interchange them in a resume, or if you should always stick to either one or the other.
So that's a good question. So when we talk about active and passive, are we talking about like the infinitive form or past form? Because yes. For example, okay. So because in here, like we call active verbs, but what you really, you know, for us, it's a mix of both. You know, I think the person that was reviewing your resume, we agree with that person, because if you say things in the past form, like for example, established a new process for new hires. So now, basically, that's telling me that I was responsible for implementing a new process. So that's something I did. It's in the past, right? But I can also mix with, with verbs that are, for example, responsible for, or conduct X, Y, Z. It's a good way to mix them. I would recommend actually that whenever you have concrete achievements, that you use the passive or the past form. Because I agree that will display that, it's something that you accomplished.
That you completed.
That you completed.
Have the task complete. Yeah, and I think both of our resumes or LinkedIn profiles, we do have a mix, because sometimes it depends on the description that you want to share. Will make sense to use the past rather than responsible, or kind of a thing that you are still working on?
If you guys have a quick minute, I can show you an example. And I will open a quick resume that I have that have like the passive forms very quickly. It's actually my own. Just hang in there, guys. Okay, just let me know when you see it again.
We see it.
All right. So you see here, this is actually a version that I created. There is a lot of things here that needs some polishing, like, you know, here, for example, is very long. You know, but just to give an example on the passive. So in here, for example, I included provided, strategic business partnerships, supported, 600 associates, successfully hired. So these are all past forms. Oversaw, used, managed, led, investigated, created, represented, developed. But in here, for example, it's not in a past form. And I put here project leader for global recruiting harmonization. So I didn't put like I led the global recruiting harmonization project because I wanted to stress my role. I wanted to stress the role that I had in this project. So I just simply wrote that in the bullet point. But you see that you can always blend. You know, here, for example, another one, expert on Mercer IP methodology. So I didn't put in the past form because there's just no way. It's something that I'm continuously to be an expert on Mercer IP methodology or a project manager. So you always have to blend. We think that blending is a good recommendation. Hopefully that answered.
I think that probably provided a lot of context.
Okay, cool.
She's good. She's in the chat box. Yes. Got it.
Cool.
So I think this has been an incredible session. Does anybody else on the call have any questions or final thoughts before we get Nathan and Allie's final words? I think you guys answered a lot of questions via the chat boxes. But if you guys want to give us some final tips before, you know, we wrap up our session, thank you so much, you know, for your time. And you can clearly tell there were students who were super engaged based on all the questions that we got.
We appreciate, no, we really enjoy it. And thank you guys a lot. I think the final tip, I mean, it's not really a tip, it's just more kind of like a statement, you know, believe in yourself. Really, everyone has a lot of things to offer. Sometimes you just have to realize what that is. You know, read through read through companies, you know, try to understand what kind of jobs you wanna work on. There's a lot of misconception about roles. So that's why it's good to use your network, talk to friends, family, you know, professors. And don't give up. We know that right now the world is kind of upside down and a lot of companies are, you know, kind of like not actively hiring, but there are still a lot of companies hiring a lot of people. So don't give up, you know, and we wish everyone a lot of luck and, you know, very successful interviews. We hope that the session was, you know, interesting. And definitely, you know, you can always keep in touch with us in LinkedIn. You know, feel free to connect with us there.
Yes, and do not be afraid. Keep trying. I know it's never easy, but we all have a space, and we by the end of the day, everything turns good. So you will find the job that you want. And I wish a lot of success. And if we can help in any other section, we would be more than happy to do so. It has been a very great experience to us. And thank you so much for being here and making the time for this session.
Thank you everybody so much for your time and for paying attention. We're over time by 30 minutes, but that just means we had a great session. We went overtime yesterday too. So thank you everybody so much. And like I said, we will send out the PowerPoint to everybody on the call, and then I will also include Nathan and Ali's LinkedIn profiles in case anybody wants to connect with them on LinkedIn. So thank you guys. Stay safe, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
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 You guys got such good reviews.
They were awesome.
This was really good.
Yeah, they were good.
Anna, I submitted my hours, but it says something weird on it.
What does it say?
Possible insufficient leave balance.
Are you using COVID-19?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Submit it and I'll check it out on my end because I haven't.
I'll send you a picture of what it says through text, just so you keep it in mind. I don't know.
It might just give you that error message because you're using the COVID thing, but everyone has to be using the COVID-19 thing.
I also had a question. In that area that you live, do you like it? Do you feel safe walking outside?
Where I live? Yes, I do.
It appears a lot of apartments in the area available for like moving in, and when you search it, it says that the area you live in, it's like now really common for like younger professionals to move in.
Yeah.
So I was looking into that, but I don't know nothing about Jersey, and the last thing I need is to find myself in somewhere sketchy.
I wouldn't live anywhere that says the Heights in Jersey City. You're good in North Bergen, you're good in Hudson, you're good in West New York, you're definitely good in Weehawken and Union City. Try to stay away from Jersey City unless it's downtown.
Yeah, I was saying Union City.
Hoboken's really nice on Washington Street. And it's really nice like on Bloomfield, but if you go a little bit further back into Hoboken,
expensive.
Yeah, Hoboken's expensive, but also it does have a little bit of a sketchy area. So I think if you stick to North Bergen, West New York, and Union City, you're good there. Or Weehawken.
But I found a place in West New York, and it was like $1,000 for 2 rooms. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it looks really nice. I'm like, is this like a ¿cómo es? Una cosa falsa? Mm-hmm. And I was like, are they like about to like take my money? Because like
take my
it
money.
looks so nice.
If you
it looks so nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of listings.
You should probably Google the address.
I did, but it's like I can't, I was like, I'm not even sure. I'm gonna read you the place. I think it's close to where you live. And I was like, I need to ask Anna because the last thing I need is to be in a sketchy place. But yeah, oh wait, caught. Right? Oh, Anna, you didn't move, so I thought you were froze.
No, estoy texteando.
Okay.
But yeah, I would. This area is really nice. If you move somewhere around in North Jersey, maybe the rent is going down because everyone we're the coronavirus epicenter now.
I know but South Orange. I found myself comparing South Orange to be so expensive.
The good thing here is that Hudson County is predominantly Hispanic, so everyone speaks Spanish for the most part.
That's good to find food.
It's really easy to be here. And then the other thing is like South Orange is a suburb and it's very boring. And when you live like closer to the city or where you live in a city, it's just so much better because you get to.
I know.
Like,
It looks
I have like all my stores like a block away. You can walk everywhere. There's public transportation everywhere. You don't need a car. Like I live 3 blocks away from the train station. We could just go, and I can go to New York, and I can go all over the place.
That's definitely something I'm looking to, like, there's public transportation that it's like accessible. Just because, but I'm about to tell you right now what exactly it was. I was like, I am so confused. Like, and some of them look sketchy. There's a few in the Heights. I definitely saw that.
If you look at the ones you like, just send me the addresses and I'll tell you. I'll give you una carita feliz or una carita triste.
Yeah, I'm actually looking for it. I sent it to the girl that's gonna live with me. She already graduated from school last year, but she works for Bloomberg. So we're gonna see if we're
Is he still hiring? He's not hiring anymore, is he? He is?
Yes, so they do it. So the job that I'll be applying is an entry-level job, so it's meant for you not to stay there, but kind of like grow within the company. So they have a class in June. I don't know if they're gonna come back. That's the class that I don't know if they call it classes because they're like entry-level jobs. June class, and you have to do eight weeks of training. And then there's another one in August, but I don't know if they're gonna move the June one to August. Because I don't she's still working from home. They literally send her a desktop computer, like a whole, because like they were
like a whole setup.
A whole setup, and they were like work from home.
Oh my god, you guys should see my setup. Anthony and I bought wireless keyboards and mice, so that way we can have like the laptop on top. I don't know if you can see this.
I've been struggling because I don't. Oh my god, look at her makeup desk.
Yeah. I have my keyboard here, I have my little thingy here, I have esta cosita aquí, and then I have, this is my little vanity thing that I have all the time on.
That's so cute.
But I put my laptop here, and then I could just do everything here because I was hunched over my laptop like that.
That's what's been happening to me.
Like the first
my
week,
back hurts.
Yes, like hunched over. So we bought these little riser things on Amazon that were like $10. So now the laptop's up here, and I can just like lean back and use the keyboard.
That's
what
literally what's been happening to me.
Is I have to use my glasses because otherwise I can't see the screen.
Yeah, I don't have a desk in my room because I only did a year of college here, so I would study in the library. So I don't have a desk at home, so it's been complicating when I spend so many hours in the computer. So